All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of A Desire to Inspire. Today, I have a treat for you in store on the show. My man, Erik, Mr. Awesome Swanson. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. Happy New Year.
Let's rock and roll. Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well, man. Every year is awesome. I love these people who say, oh, no, it's another year. We need to do resolutions. I'm like, keep on doing the same thing you've been doing. Like awesomeness, right?
Absolutely. It was a great finish to the year, to say the least, because I got a chance to meet you here in Vegas at UWC. I got a chance to watch you take the stage and just completely captivate a crowd. And I said to myself, I've got to get in touch with this guy. And sure enough, shortly after you were finished, I approached you. Here we are today. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to come on the show and share your knowledge and your wisdom and your insight with us, because you got some great stuff, man. And I'm really excited to have you here, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. High five.
Yeah, my man. I'm gonna have your energy level is way up here, brother. So
thanks, man.
So look, you are 18-year vet. I say that's just getting started in the personal development industry. What really made you want to get started on this journey in this business, and ultimately led you to this point today?
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's interesting, Manny. My 19th year anniversary just came up over 3 days ago. So I'm actually 19 years into it. January 5th, I started with a guy named Brian Tracy that a lot of your listeners probably know. So Brian Tracy and I started working together, and it was just awesome. I was like, back then I was so confused as to what was going on. I had no idea. Brian's like, come on, I'll teach you. I'm like, all right, I have no idea who you are. So then I found out that I was working for, like, you ever do that? You meet somebody, you have no idea who he is, and then you're like, wow, this person's like really respected in the world. Not just in the city or the state, but in the world. Like, right. People know this guy. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I ended up, that's how I got started. I got really excited about working with him and realizing that, I'm actually helping others build their business. And that was a passion of mine. So that's how I got started.
Let me ask you this question. I took copious notes while you were on stage, and you were talking about a point in your life when you were frustrated.
Yeah.
And I want to have you elaborate on that and kind of talk to us about what that pivotal point was in your life that made you want to change or start on this new path that you're on now. And what was that? What was that calling? What was it for you?
Yeah, so I'll answer that in 2 or 3 different ways. First off, the date that I was frustrated was years ago. Last year, last month, last week. Everybody gets frustrated all the time, right? We have to realize that nothing's going to be perfect. And every day you just need to keep on keeping on. And that's how I developed those habits and attitude. And then I put them together, and it's like habitudes just stuck with me. That actually got coined by myself when I was talking to a gentleman named Jim Rohn, that a lot of your callers probably know who he is. So he and I were sitting down together, and he's like, you got to do that. I'm like, all right. So that's where the genesis of Habitude Warrior came around, which is obviously a combination of your habits and your attitude put together. But I think you're referring to the time where I was actually working with Brian Tracy 19 years ago. Started with him, worked with him for close to like 6 or 7 years, and it was great. It was awesome. He's an amazing, as you know, he's really extremely bright. And what I noticed, though, is I was really talking about and training on sales skills. And that was great. And I got really good at it. But then I got kind of a little bit frustrated because it was all about sales, all about selling people. And I didn't really want to do that anymore. And I really wanted to start, I realized that it was a lot more to life than just selling things. It was more about building relationships and learning and growing and in different areas of your life. So that was the frustration for me. And I had a conversation with them. I said, look, I'm going to branch off. I'm going to start working by myself and growing, because right now I'm literally underneath your coattail, if you will. And that's great for a time period for learning purposes, but I needed to expand. So his answer to me was like, I didn't realize it was going to take you this long. Go, and now he shares some of my stages on occasion. Right. We had Les Brown, we had Jim Rohn back on my stage before he passed. We have all these different, amazing speakers. So that was me when my frustration was just, I needed to harness my habits and my attitude, and my passion wasn't really sales. It was more helping people and in different areas. Does that make sense?
Of course. And I'm excited to talk about which projects you have in your conference and the books and all that stuff here shortly. But
Sure.
what was life like for you in your previous life before you had, the 19 years of experience in this industry? What was going on, back when you were a kid and coming up and
oh man,
whatnot?
that was fun. I actually I call my TRDs, my top ramen days. That's what I called it before I started. Yeah, because I lived on that stuff. You guys know what ramen noodles are. So I lived on it, and if your callers aren't familiar with it, great, because that means you're making money. So I had to put all these ramen noodles $6 for $1, and I used to live on that because I was so broke that I couldn't afford anything. I was going to write a book about 19 different ways to make ramen noodles. And then I realized the book would cost about $19, $20, and the people eating them could not afford the book in the first place. And then I got fired from my job, which was a lot of fun. And that was interesting because it was, I didn't get fired from Brian. I got fired from another job before I met Brian Tracy. And it was like an advertising agency, and it was this small sort of place over in Northeast. And what was interesting is it was all commission. So they just wanted the seat, the computer, and I was taken up. Have you ever been fired from a commission-only job? It's kind of hard to do, right? Yeah. So I was frustrated, but back in the day when I grew up, I was a waiter. I had been a waiter for years until I got into advertising and sales and advertising, and then I met Brian Tracy. So that was my background, was waiting tables, hospitality, which I still love. I love doing that. And I always vowed to myself that one day I'm going to own a restaurant and like a jazz club attached to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually wait tables there, but I'm not going to let anyone know that I'm actually the owner. People are just going to think I'm just some cool waiter. That's it.
kind of like an undercover boss, but on the of it, on the service side.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'll go up to the other servers. I'll be like, "Hey, let's do that." I know we're not supposed to, and then they're going to get canned because I'm the boss. So
you and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways. In fact, I was a hospitality guy for a long time. Still do a lot of work. I started off in restaurants. In fact, I owned 3 restaurants at the age of 26 here in Vegas.
Wow.
And, quickly learned my fate in that business because of bad habits, which we'll talk about. And you'll give us a lot of good insight on that, but. Did you run into Brian accidentally? Was that purposely?
Yeah, actually, no.
How did that work?
Yeah, so I ran into him as I was waiting tables, actually. So I stopped doing the advertising, and then I moved to Texas, in Austin, Texas. I lived there for a little while. One of my best friends said, "Hey, come on out." I'm like, "All right, Hoss." Because I thought Texas was going to be like all, cows and stuff. And I got here, I'm like, wow, this is a pretty cool town. It's a great city. So I started waiting tables at this really cool restaurant, and it was called Mezzaluna. And one of the trainers came over that worked for Brian Tracy, and they totally recruited me on and introduced me to him. And then I started working. January 5th, 1998 was my first day of working with Brian. And we did a program in Dallas. No, excuse me, it was in Austin. And then I moved they shipped me out to Seattle, and then Spokane, Washington, and Boston. And I've lived in 30 different, actually it's probably more now, probably 40 different markets or cities over the last 19 years.
Wow. What a journey, man. What a journey. That sounds like a blast.
Vegas, man. I lived in Vegas too. I lived off the strip, down on the bottom part of the strip. There's this great complex. I can't recall now. You probably know it since you're there. But if you're what's the sort of
Manhattan?
Manhattan. It might have been that. It was a really nice resort. It was beautiful. But if you go south of the strip, you pass the new place on the right. There's that new outdoor shopping area with all the shops.
Town Square.
Past that, go about another mile down the road on the left-hand side. You can't miss it. It's a great resort.
I'm thinking Cancun.
Something like that. I think Manhattan was the first one that you said.
I know exactly where you're at, though. I know that general area very well. It's actually not far from my place. It's about 5 miles from here. So
Vegas is great, man. I love Vegas. And in fact, I want to tell you about this, or tell your college about this. I love Vegas, and I'll tell you why. Because When I go to Vegas, it's not like everyone else. It's like people are like, oh, let's go to Vegas, let's party and let's, stay up till late and whatever. It's not about that. Vegas, if you actually do it right, you go there, you do a resort, you do a nice dinner, a sushi place over in Sushi Roku or something over in Caesars, amazing. Or you go to STK and the Cosmopolitan, have a great steak, and then go down to my tailor's there. It's called Stitched. And they bring you in. It's amazing. Oh, wow. This place is amazing. So that's the way you do Vegas. And what I always do is I bring a laptop and I'll find a cool spot, like a coffee shop or something off the beaten path. Another great place is called Vintner's Grill up in Henderson or Summerlin, maybe? Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, one of those two. Which is it?
It's in Summerlin.
Summerlin, okay.
Summerlin, yep.
Great place. You sit there, have a cappuccino or an iced tea, and just work on your books. Yeah. It's a fantastic place to go.
Arguably the best off-strip restaurant probably in Vegas. One of the best, Vintner's Grill. It's absolutely amazing. We go there a lot. Family comes in town. It's probably the go-to place. So you're spot on, man.
It's awesome, man. I'm telling you, I can give you a whole tour guide. You just pick the city. I'm actually writing. I just dreamt about this. I did the Paul McCartney thing last night or this morning. You know how Paul McCartney he writes things. He writes lyrics to his songs. But when he woke up in the morning, he's like, "Oh, that's great. I had a dream about that." So he writes it down. So I had a dream about this last night, and this morning I wrote it down, saying I'm going to write another book called Journeys, and the journey is going to be. And it's going to be about 15 or 20 different chapters of different cities that I've lived in, and the journey that lessons that I learned in those cities. And maybe I'll interview a couple people from those cities and put them in the chapters of the book. So
I like that.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Perfect segue to a lesson comment that I have, because I'm very interested in knowing the answer that you have to this. And in your workings with Brian Tracy, and you've shared the stages with Jack Canfield, co-creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. You work with Les Brown currently. He's going to be doing one of your events here in the next month.
Yeah, he's one of my guests. Yeah.
Sharon Lecter, who's co-authored Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Between all of those folks and working with them, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned from them?
I've learned one major lesson from all of them. All of the people that you just discussed. And there's one major lesson, and it's surround yourself with the best. That's the major lesson I've learned. And actually, this is great. I have actually learned the same exact lesson from some of the people that you haven't mentioned and I won't mention ever again, because I've worked with some people that I'm never going to work with them again. Right. And they gave me the same lesson. The lesson is surround yourself with the best.
Right. I love that.
I won't mention the names, but there are about 2, 3, 4 people that come to mind that I've had them on my stage. They've had me on their stage, and I bless their heart. I wish them well, but they weren't resonating with that give mentality for the audience. So that's the biggest lesson I've learned from all of them, from Brian Tracy to Les Brown to all of them. Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn back in the day, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Bill Walsh, Manny Patrick, you name it, all the greats, right? All of them had said,
"Yes, I made it.
You're in the list, man."
I love it, man.
Surround yourself with the best, and that's a key thing to do. So right now we're going to take a quick commercial break. There's a commercial break. Okay, we're back. Okay. Sorry, I just like that phone.
That, man. Your energy is infectious, man. It's admirable, dude. I love it.
I'm glad the energy is.
Yeah. So let's talk about the surrounding yourself with great people. Okay, not every one of us has the capacity to make that decision because of our relationships that we've fostered for so long.
What?
Well, hold on. I'm not saying that in the sense that they can't do it. My question is to you: how how does the person that's like, well, I don't know how to tell Susie how I can't be her friend anymore because she's just so negative, or I can't tell John because we've been boys for 20 years and he's my basketball buddy. We do everything together. We've been hitting the town. What's the strategy there to say, okay, you got to go and really feel confident in your decision and moving forward from there?
Okay, so again, most of my answers are threefold. Okay, so because I have so many different areas of expertise that I want to share with your team. First off, Brian Tracy said this to me years ago, and he talks about this in some of his books as well. Time management plays a huge part, right? So your time is extremely valuable. Like right now, you and I sharing our time right now with each other, and I can't get this time back. You can't either. It's going to be cemented in time, and we're moving on. Now, was this time worth it and valuable? So you always have to ask yourself, for the time management status, are you spending your time wisely, and who you're spending your time with? And if other people are like coworkers and colleagues, nowadays I don't even know if there's any coworkers or colleagues or employees on these calls anymore, because everyone's entrepreneurs now. But if you are working in an environment where you walk down the hall and there's tons of different people in your call center or wherever you're at, or your company, be careful of letting people come into your office and just bug you and just take up all your time. What you want to do is say, hey, listen, I want to talk to you about this, but do me a favor, go talk to Joe down the hall and go waste his time today and not mine. Say it in a different way. But here's something that I do. I take a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. Okay, I want all of your callers to do the same thing, and this is going to be a fantastic opportunity for you guys. Take a blank piece of paper and write down on the front of the paper, write down the 5 people that you want to start surrounding yourself with. The 5, what I call the elephant list. Okay, so it means like, well, you don't know them yet, but you really want to. Now think realistically. I mean, if you're saying, well, I want to surround myself with Oprah every day, Oprah Winfrey, and you don't really know Oprah yet, that might be unrealistic, right? But if you want to surround yourself with Manny Patrick, or with somebody that's the #1 person in insurance in the Vegas area, which maybe we don't know who that is, but you're going to find that out. You're going to find awesome mastermind techniques with that gentleman, okay, or the lady. So ask yourself that question about 5 people. You want to write down 5 names that you want to start surrounding yourself with. And I did this list with some of my clients, and one lady the other day actually put me on the list. I was like, oh, cool. So now I got to hang out with her. Anyway, so that's the first thing is the elephant list on a positive note. Then flip the page over to the back and write down 5 names of people you're going to start not surrounding yourself with as much. You're going to kind of tailor it down. Like you said, your friends that, or Susie or your boys, whatever his name was, that, they're taking up too much of your time, and they're talking about going out and playing and doing stuff and wasting time rather than writing their next book, or rather than going to the place for a charity function or something like that, right? So put that down in those 5 and start weeding yourself away from them slowly. Now don't call the list of the 5 on the back and say, you made the list. Okay, don't do that, right? But it's a really fantastic way to do it. Now, how do you do it? Don't do cold turkey. Just say, when this is what I do when they call me or email and so forth, instead of answering right away, because I have a habit of answering within about an hour. I usually answer a phone call, emails within 3 hours or to the next day. And so what I'll do is this: I'll stagger it a little bit more. So if somebody's calling me and kind of wasting my time and so forth, bless their heart, but I just show them that I'm getting really busy and I wish them well, but I'll stop answering them right away. I'll stagger it, like every 3 calls that they make, then I'll answer back, and then every 5 calls, and then every 10 calls, and then they'll slowly weed themselves out of your life until they get it, and then they come back in your life in a better way.
Right. I love that, man. What a great strategy for everybody to use and to start to take action on today, right?
Thanks.
And that comes back to habits, right? So everything is about habits, and in most cases, you and I are most familiar with are at an unconscious level. We don't even know we're doing them. So, what do you think are some of the personal limitations that we've put on ourselves as people that we need to overcome in order to step into our full potential?
Yeah. So decide that you're awesome. Here, I'll show you. I've got a thing that I just write down, like a board here that I write different notes to myself, and this one's decide to be awesome.
Yeah,
and that's it. It's just literally decide to be awesome. And that's the thing is, a lot of people they don't decide it. They decide that other people are better because of certain reasons. So come up with what I call the 30 list. It's 30 reasons why you should be amazing, or why people love you, or why you should have that client as your client. 30 major reasons. First 5 to 10 are going to be pretty easy. Then the next 5 to 20 are going to be a little tougher, and convince yourself before you convince somebody else. So it's a fantastic way to do it. But the first thing is making the decision. Actually decide that you are worthy of being amazing. and you're worthy of it. You know, there's no nobody's better than you. Nobody's worse than you. They're just making decisions that are different than you.
Sure.
That's it. And they're acting on those decisions. That's the key as well. So a lot of people say, oh, I should do this, I should do that. And then they don't do it. Well, you don't take action. Like for you, I'm on this show. You know why? Because you called me 9 times. I'm like, okay, I'll do the show. So
people don't realize that though. I'll be honest with
you. It's
true. I mean, I've got you today. I've got a former Major League Baseball player and an MLB network analyst on the show tomorrow. Yeah. And I was just telling my best friend that's sitting on the phone early this morning, I called this guy 10 times. And you do the same thing. Like, you got to be persistent. And Bill Walsh says persistently consistent. And
it's true.
It's not that you're annoying the guys. It's like, listen, we're here for the same reasons, and we're here for a purpose. It's to give back. It's to be of service. It's to deliver good value. But shit, I mean, you're busy. And I get that. But if I just let it go and say, oh, he doesn't want to talk to me, that's bull. That's not true.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to just stay focused and stay on it. And then ultimately we get to this point and we're all having a ball.
Exactly. No, it's so true. And I'll give you an example of that. So I run conferences, as you know, and they're called Habitudes conferences. And what I do is I put habits and attitude put together with all these 33 speakers and so forth. Well, I just finished one up in San Francisco recently, and I had one of the top UFC legends, if you know Ultimate Fighting or mixed martial arts legends, and the guy's name is Frank Shamrock. And he's a legend. He's amazing. He was the very first. Are you familiar with him? Okay, from Vegas, right?
Wrestler.
So he's actually from San Jose area. But he was the very first heavyweight champion of the world, which is now middleweight. They moved the classes around, but he was the very first one in UFC. So there was no way I was going to get this guy on my stage. You know, I mean, I was thinking, no way, right? Well, I run into him in San Diego at the airport about 5 years ago. And what I did was I just built up a relationship with him for just every 2, 3, 4 months. I'd be like, hey, how you doing, man? What's going on? Tell me how I can support you. And 5 years later, he's finally on my stage. And he mentions it from stage. He said, you know, Erik's a great guy. I love him. He's awesome. But honestly, I don't really know him that well. I didn't know him, but now I know him very well because this is an amazing event. He says, and you know, it took him or me 5 years to be on the stage because I didn't really know him that well, right? But he kept on asking me, and he wasn't badgering me, but over 5 years, every now and then, he'd mention, hey, by the way, you missed another show. Hey, you should be on the next one. Finally, boom, I took the action. He was on it. Now, he called me back the next day. He says, I loved your event. Please put me on any one of them. I'm in. I see the value. So that's powerful right there. So you want to use that to your advantage, to your listeners' advantage, and use those celebrity endorsements, but also testimonial endorsements that are coming from other locations that are saying, you know, Manny Patrick, he's doing some great things, amazing things. So that's a quick story.
Great, man. No, it's great. And I feel like anybody at any point in their life could use that advice to really boost themselves up a little bit, to realize the opportunities that are there for them and being able to see them and step into them when they are there. My God, you could truly transform your life and do and have and be anything you want. And I tell that to people all the time. It's life. So let me ask you this question, my man. What's the best investment that you've ever made in yourself?
The books that I read.
Okay.
Yeah, the books, the time that I spend to read those and to surround myself with the winners. That's the investment. It's critical. Yeah. So I mean, if you want, does that make sense? I mean, I don't know what other investment. I mean, I don't know what what are your investments? I mean, are you talking about like different things that you buy or I don't understand.
Whatever comes to your mind. Whatever comes to your mind. For me, yeah, you're right. Education, it's books, it's programs, it's seminars, it's investing in people, right? Investing in relationship building, all kinds of things.
It's true, and that's what it is. It's all, you know, they say Napoleon Hill talked about this, and Greg Reed, my buddy Greg Scott Reed's awesome. By the way, if you want some more referrals or introductions to experts out there, let me know, because I can get whoever you want on your show.
I always ask my guests, by the way, so yes.
Awesome, man. I'm happy to help you. Yeah, because they're amazing. So all of these people like Bob Proctor, all of them say the same thing. You're the culmination of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, and those 5 major books that you're reading. So what are you reading and what are you applying? So for me, it's the investment in myself and the time and the effort to learn and grow. And use those experiences. I'll be straightforward about this. I never graduated college. So for me, it was. I'm still in school right now, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people I know have gone through college, they've got their degrees, and they're calling on me going, how do I build my business? I'm like, well, let me tell you,
Self-education, my friend, it's the best education you could ever get.
So true.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So because you've accomplished so much, you've got best-selling books, you've got your own conferences that are across the country where you bring phenomenal speakers from across the world to share your stage. What is the biggest accomplishment at this point in your life that you're most proud of?
Wow. My relationship with my family. It's the biggest. Yeah, that's the biggest. It's, just making them proud, making my father, my mother proud. That's, cause you got to understand, my father's an attorney. Okay. He's a strict attorney. And he's like, you're going to school, right? And remember those, I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I'll tell you, remember those textbooks when you go to school, and I was in psychology classes and all this stuff. I went to University of Vermont for basically like 2 years. And I remember going to the bookstore, the university bookstore, to buy these books that I needed to have. And the books were like $93 each or something like that. It was nuts. I was like, oh my gosh. And my father's like, all right, you got to have those books. I'm paying for it. I'm like, all right, great. So I got the books, and then I returned them and I kept the money. Don't tell my dad that. But it's like, I ended up not really studying. I wanted to study on my own. And I'm not, look, if you have kids and they're going to school, that's awesome. I wish I went to school and finished and yet still had my own experience like I have now. So my biggest or most awesomest accomplishment is really having resting assured here and here really that my father and my mother are really proud of what I've done. That's key. That's super key.
I think people forget about the importance of the connection that we have and the love that we have with our closest family, and that really usually drives the meaning behind most everything that we do, right? And being able to help other people, but having those deeply rooted relationships is so important. And I know this because I lost my mother at a very young age, and she was basically gone. And my father was like the rock, but there was a lot of influencers in my life, and because of that, I didn't really have like the well-rounded childhood and upbringing, which ultimately led into all the craziness that's been part of my life for the last 10 years until the transformation. And now it's like, I just want to be around my family more than anything because I miss that opportunity. As I get older, you realize that that's the value in life. And so, dude, I know you should saw the glow in your face and the smile. It was totally like mom and dad, much needed. So kudos to you, brother.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
So what's the next big thing? You do your conference. What's the next big goal? What's your vision for the future life of Mr. Awesome, and where do you see that taking you?
That's interesting you say it like, because it reminds me of all these resolutions. People are asking me, so what are you going to do with your resolution for the 2017? I'm like, do exactly what I did in 2016. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm doing great. Everything's awesome. I don't want to change anything. I'm on the right path, right? So my goals are, to grow this, to build, to share. As long as I can share my experiences, that's really what I'm sharing. It's not really wisdom or knowledge. It's just things that I've taken from experiences throughout my last year, my last 5 years, my 19 years. And if I can change somebody's life out there, that's the best for me. And so for us, what we're doing is we're expanding. We're writing a lot of books. I've written actually 3 books over the last 3 months. I pump out a book a month roughly. And my next one's coming out. It's called Social Millions. So what I've done is I'm working a lot with social media, social marketing, and social branding. And I was really frustrated with other people passing me on this journey of being online and the presence and so forth. So I decided to really just get an expert view of it. So I did that, and now I'm putting that in a program, Social Millions. So it's just awesome. So that's our next book that's actually being published right now. It should be out in, roughly around January 25th, somewhere around there. And then our next one is Junior Habitude Warriors. And that's really cool. This is going to hit home for you, man. I'm sure. Just talking about your childhood and bringing your childhood up. What we do is we teach kids from age 8 to 18. We teach them non-bullying. We teach them confidence, courage, leadership, and personal development. So what we've done is we at each of our events are called Habitude Warrior conferences. At each of them, on day 3, we have a junior ages 8 to 18 and drop them off for the day for us. And what we do is we teach them in all those 3 or 4 areas. And then what I've decided to do is put together a book with all of our experts. So we've got about 15 or 16 experts that share their experience and their expertise in this book. And that's coming out in about 45 days or so. So I'm really excited about that too.
You're going right to the children's demographic, because that's really where I think we're missing out on all the information that you have been giving for 18 years, that some of us are trying to start, that are figuring this out at 30, 35, 40, 50.
Yeah.
Really, they should be learning this in elementary school.
Right. And now we are the age that we have our kids that are that age that need to learn it as well. So
right.
Yeah, so I'm going to we're going to that demographics because we figure. And what's interesting, I'm interrupting myself. Like, let me give you an example. Like, here's one of my books. That what I do is I write these books that are about 70-page long, and they're like the 6x6 books. And I think I gave you. Did I give you one?
I didn't get one. No, I didn't get one.
Oh man, what? You need to rush the stage, man. So what's interesting about these books, what I've done with the Junior Habitudes book, is it's like a manuscript in there or a blueprint. So what happens is it's not necessarily just for the child, it's actually for the parent and the child to read together each chapter, and then each chapter has an assignment towards the end of the chapter. So it's just really cool. So it's a great technique.
It's brilliant.
I know, I'm awesome. Hold on. Yeah,
absolutely. They call him Mr. Awesome for a reason.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
So let me ask you this question, my man. What would you say is your greatest gift and your greatest strength?
What would you say my greatest gift and my greatest strength is?
Probably charisma. Probably.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So totally.
I was going to say deflecting the question.
No, hey, man. Listen, I'm very straightforward. I'm a straight shooter. And when I met you, you were popping. I didn't meet you necessarily yet, but when I first saw you, you were popping around out in the front of the event room and just chatting and having fun and just being you. And that really stands out. And most people don't have that bubbly personality. And that's an innate gift.
But you can have it though. It might be innate, but it's not really. For me, it wasn't. I was really shy. I was an overweight kid, and I was shy, and people were picking on me all the time. I was bullied big time when I was a kid. I could write a book on bullying. Well, not like bullying, but being bullied. But the thing is, like, for me, I needed to change it around. So I made a decision. I said, enough is enough. And now's the time I'm going to have a different personality. And what a turning point for me, I should have added this in the book. I'll add it. I know we're doing Junior Habitude Warrior book, part 2, part 3, part 4. Each 6 months we're going to come up with a new one. So I'll add it in the next one. But for me, one of the biggest turning points was going from my sophomore year to my junior year in high school. So I was 15, 16, whatever that age was. And I went from a big city school in Washington, D.C. up to Vermont, to Burlington, Vermont area. And it was really rural. It was like 800 students total. And back in Washington, D.C., my graduating class had like 2,000 people in my class. So this was, the whole school had 800 students. So basically when I went up there, I was the big city kid, and I had shot up on my height as well on that age. So basically I was like, all right, time for a new me. I made a big decision, a conscious decision, that I was going to be whoever I wanted to be. And I decided to be gregarious and outgoing and not shy and smile a lot more and just high five people. I high five everyone. And people are like, what are you doing? So it's great. But you can make that decision. Your callers can make that decision right away. And it makes a big difference.
So how can we think about breaking some of those, probably one would say, negative habitual patterns? For starters, let's just say we're hearing this today. We're thinking about, all right, this guy's got a lot of good information. What can I do right now today to kind of change my thinking and get started on a new path?
Yeah, so first, make a decision to do it. And secondly, write it down. Thirdly, make a decision to reward yourself after a 30-day process of actually, living by that path of 30 days or for 30 days. And then fourthly, what I would do is have an accountability partner. And the accountability partner should not be living with you. Okay, don't go to your spouse, your friend, your someone close to you, because what they'll do is they'll say, don't worry, you'll do it tomorrow, honey. Instead, you want somebody to say, what the hell are you doing? Right? You got to change it around. You got to change, you got to get back in there. So that's key. I've got a friend of mine, his name's Bob Davies. And what he does is he teaches people accountability partnership, but he doesn't charge his clients. What he does is he grabs your credit card. He puts like a $20,000 hold on your card, and he says, you get all this money back if you continue with the path for 30 days or 60 days. And if you fail, then you lose the money to him. So it's kind of okay, I'm going to stick with the path. So it's a really big accountability situation, right?
Absolutely.
So changing our habits. All of us have certain habits that you want to change, whether it's in your, I was going through this on the board earlier with the coaching client. So it's all about your cycle of achievement. So when I was working with a guy named Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul book series, we're talking about there's income goals, there's investment goals, there's career goals, could be a little different. There's spiritual goals, and then there's health and fitness, and then family goals. So there's basically like 5 or 6 major areas in your life. And I've noticed that if you're working on a certain area, let's say you're working on your sales and your career and so forth, then sometimes your family goals are kind of dwindling down, and you've got to bring those back up, right? So it's keeping that balance as well.
Dude, we've spent a lot of time getting to know you, which is fantastic. That's the purpose of this show. I think we're going to have to do another one in the future where we really dive into habits and attitude and really like some more of the frameworks of that stuff, because I certainly want to be mindful of your time, and I still have a few more questions that I want to ask you before we get married. But before I do that, man, I want to acknowledge you for.
I need you guys to help me though with this. I still can't pick that up. It's crazy.
For the people that are listening and that are actually seeing the video here, he's got a huge hammer, which is the Thor hammer, on his bookcase above his head, and it looks like probably a ton worth of concrete on just a little stick. Yeah. And we were laughing about that before.
It's not
going to hurt himself trying to pull it off. Don't hurt yourself, man.
It's
got way too much of a difference to go out and make in the world, man, and we need you at full strength and
optimize
to do that. But I was saying, man, I want to acknowledge you for all the effort and all the impact that you've made in the world today. You've done over 6,000 presentations.
Thank you.
You are essentially affecting and transforming people's brains to get them to a point of success and confidence and potential, a place where they can go out and want to make their own difference in the world, whether it's personally or professionally. And that takes a very courageous human being. And, being able to watch you on stage, do your thing, and have the opportunity to have you here on the show, you're a true rock star, man. And I really appreciate you for that. Your attitude is the top of the game. And I know people can see that. I love it. And I'm sure there's many more who appreciate you and are very thankful for all of the service that you've been of for so long, man. So again, thank you for all that, dude.
This is great. Thank you. I'm going to replay this every morning so I can do it. That's awesome.
We're almost there. I got two. Today I'm actually going to throw a new question into the finish of my show, because I've
all right.
tried to reinvent myself. So this is a new one. I'm excited about it, and it's this. It's the end of your life. Okay, you've had this fantastic.
What? I don't like the way this is going already.
It gets better. You've had this fantastic 120-year run, dude. You're still awesome at 120. The time has come where things are just finishing up, and it's about time for somebody to give your eulogy.
Yeah.
What do you want them to say during that speech? What do you want that eulogy to say?
Wow. So the answer is I have no idea. I can't answer that on the fly, but I'll try to answer it this way. I want the eulogy I want the gentleman to get up there and say, the first thing I want him to say is this. We actually made a mistake. He has not passed yet. Sorry, guys. Everyone go home. It's the very first thing I want them to say. The second thing I want them to say is we're going to share some great stories about Erik and what he shared with the world, but it all comes down to one thing: be awesome. And Erik was awesome, and high fives all the way through his life, and he's high fiving in heaven right now as well. So high five your neighbor. That's what I want, everyone.
Hand up high, 5 fingers extended, brother, always.
Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer. So it's going to be, and when you get more than that, man, feel free to send it to me. I'll upload it in the show notes, and we'll get it tied back, and we'll make sure there's a good staple there.
Here's something I want to add to that, actually. I think this is a good idea for your listeners to do. Grab a thank you note and an envelope and a stamp, and write yourself a thank you note and send it to yourself.
I love that. Perfect time of the year too, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't get anything in the mail from the holidays.
That's right.
You got to remember that your number one pride always is yourself, right? How can you be the best you for somebody else?
As long as you're helping others.
Exactly. All right, man. So one last final question. And
wait, I thought the death question was the last one. Continue.
No.
Just kidding.
This is the kicker. What's your one message of inspiration for everybody that's tuning in today?
I think the whole thing that we talked about is the message of inspiration. It's really get off your butt and get out there and help other people build their business, and you'll be building yours as well, or build their relationships, and you'll be building yours as well. So it's really harness your habits, identify which habits are holding you back, and get out there and do it. Stop staying. I work with a lot of home-based businesses, or like network marketers and so forth. And the worst thing to think about is to say to yourself is, this home business is going to be built at my home. It's not. You got to get up. You got to get out of your house, and you got to meet other people, because that's where it all happens. So, highly recommend getting out there and finding different ways to help others. I'll give you another example. This is a weird example, but I'll give it to you. So I have in my wallet, I carry these. So I go to Starbucks, or any place, you can go anywhere, but I go to Starbucks, and they have these new things where this isn't new, it's a gift card. But what's new is it's blank. See how it's nothing on the front? Right. So what I do is I grab my magic marker, and I write something on there, and I literally put "be awesome" or "decide to be awesome," whatever it is, and then I'll put my name on it or sign it. And what I do is I keep these in my wallet, and they're already built, loaded up with $25, $50, whatever they are. And what I do is I give those out to different people. So always carry these things on you. Different things to help other people grow and be different. Have that hammer, that Thor hammer. That's why it's up there, by the way. It's not any mistake. I mean, I ended up having this bulldozer bring it over and lift it up and put it up there, and now it's up there. So because it's so heavy.
Was that bulldozer you?
Yeah, I couldn't do it myself. Yeah, it was a crane and everything, and they put it up there. I don't know how that's holding it, but anyways, so it's there for a reason. I mean, you want to be somebody's rock, somebody's hammer, somebody's awesomeness, and these are ways to do it. So
I want to give you credit for something that you told us to do on stage back in December last month. You're talking about getting up, and when it comes to social media, to go and do like a quick 5-minute and association thing.
Sure.
And because of you, I thought of that strategy, and I took it one step further, and I'm crediting you for this, and I always will. Go and look at the birthday notifications of whose birthday it is.
Sure.
And so what I do now is, if I have that person in my phone, I text them.
Yeah.
And I send them a happy birthday message. If I don't have them in my phone as a contact, then I just send them a note on their wall, and they're probably like, wow, I haven't heard from this guy in however long it is, but now they just got a birthday message, and that was your idea. So
thanks, man.
Kudos to you for that, brother.
I agree with you. You should do that. And then what I would do is take it one step further, even past that, and call them not on their birthday, and just say, hey, I know your birthday is coming up in 3 weeks, but I wanted to reach out to you early and say hi. That's going to blow them away. It's awesome.
Extend going above and beyond, man. Like hospitality, going above and beyond. It's life, and that's the way we should live from every day.
So true.
Cool, dude. So where can people find you on the web? You've got a big conference coming up in April in Dallas.
Yeah. I don't have any websites, no emails, nothing.
Is that true?
Yeah, they can find me if they want to bring me on and speak to their groups. I speak internationally, keynote speeches, and that's at speakererik.com. So it's www.speakererik.com. Actually, you can spell it, misspell it. It all comes to me anyway, because I bought all the domains, which is something that you should do as well.
Right.
So I've got that. And then you can go to habitudewarrior.com, which is habitude is a combination of habit and attitude put together. So it's HABITUDE warrior.com. And that will bring you to all of our trainings, all of our social millions, socialmillions.com. That's another one that's amazing. And I teach all these different ways to market yourself and build yourself. And this is coming from me. It's just things that I learned that I use that really work. And I share that with one of my coaching clients there. And then the conference is part of the Habitude Warrior Conference. So just go to habitudewarrior.com and you'll maybe you can put a link on the bottom or something where this is.
Absolutely.
Click on that. And our next conference is in Dallas. Then we're doing, I think we're doing San Diego. Vegas is coming up. We're doing Sydney, Australia, London, Tampa, Washington, D.C., and Salt Lake City. I think those are the ones on the lineup right now. So
there's no excuses for anybody listening about location and regional discrepancies. They're all over the country. Access it. There's plenty of content, good stuff on his website, so you can access life-changing material, truthfully, and it comes from the best. And this guy is one of the best, and he's proven that year after year for 19 years now, and probably another 50 or 60. I don't know how old you are, but maybe 100 at this rate. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of your insight, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Anytime. I'm excited to help anytime I can. So I appreciate you.
We'll see you on the next one. We're going to have you back.
All right, sounds good. We'll dive into it.
Dude. Thank you so much.
Take care, man. Thanks so much.
You got it, bud.